My name is Kyle McGill, and I wanted to be the best. I grew up a military kid, so I was born in Valdosta, and when I was 2 years old, we moved to Colorado, and we lived there for 8 years while my dad was stationed at the Air Force Academy. In 2012, we made the decision to move to Tallahassee after my dad retired. When we moved here, I started to identify myself a lot in sports, and so it was baseball, football, and in 5th grade, I started wrestling. My brother started wrestling for the Child's wrestling team that year, and I wanted to be just like him, so I went out for wrestling, and I really hated it until about 7th grade, and in 7th grade, something kind of clicked, and I realized that Child's has never had a state champ, and that was the ultimate goal that I would wake up every day and kind of strive towards. As I went into high school, and going into high school, I would just chase after that goal every day, and it was just eat, sleep, wrestle. In my junior year of high school, I lost in the state semifinals, and I ended up placing 3rd. In my senior year, I went 30-0, and I had the just luxury of finally accomplishing that goal, and something that I thought would be one of the happiest moments of my life turned out to be one of the darkest times. After I won, I just kind of didn't know what was going to happen next. It kind of drove me into a season of depression, just not knowing what was next for me in my life, and just kind of feeling that just accomplishment that I had just devoted the past 6 years of my life towards, I just didn't know what was next for me. And I just kind of felt empty. As I was going through the recruitment process for college, I just kind of was in this season of just feeling lost and wondering just what was next for me. I ultimately made the decision to wrestle at Reinhardt University. It's an NAIA school just north of Atlanta. And I moved up there and just kind of keep wrestling. I started to identify myself in just the party crowd and the life of the party. And so anytime I wasn't wrestling, I was drinking, hanging out with friends. And I realized that it was something I shouldn't have been doing. But I just would use it to kind of deal with my problems. And so my sophomore year of college, I'd tear my meniscus in the match to go to the national tournament. And that's when I just kind of really identified myself in drugs and alcohol just being the escape for my issues and my pain and my problems. It reached a point that in December of 2023, I decided to quit wrestling and move back home and go to TCC. I started to identify myself in just a group of friends that would just spend most of their Friday nights at a bar. So that was my weekend, was mostly just at a bar, hanging out, drinking. In the summer of 2024, I just kind of felt my life was being worthless. I had no meaning. I just would use alcohol to solve my problems, and it just brought me to a dark place. In August, I made the decision. I came home from a bar one night and just kind of had to cry out to God, like a God, I need help, I need you moment. And he placed it just kind of on my heart to go give church another shot. I took the kind of courageous step, and I went to church by myself and just gave it another chance. And my life was just forever changed. That next Monday, August 18th, I met with Hunter Johnson, our college pastor at the time, and just was walking through the next steps of what it meant to give my life to Jesus and all that. And I gave my life to Jesus in the Bannerman Chick-fil-A. And just kind of as I'm walking through that, I realized that my next step of obedience at the time was baptism. In October, I made that decision to be baptized, and then I get connected with Dalton the next week and Patrick, and they just kind of tell me I should start serving in student ministry, which at the time I thought was crazy as someone that just kind of started this walk. But I started serving in students and stepped into that role of leadership, and just as I'm navigating this walk, I just start to grow in the leadership role in student ministry. And in February of 2025, I realized that God was calling me into full-time vocational ministry. And talking with Patrick and Dalton, I started doing an internship at the church, and then that led to a residency in August of this year. And it's been a kind of crazy year and a half, or year and a few months, and just seeing the way that God's just used me and just staying obedient to him. It's been a blessing. With just this past year, I finally found my community and my sense of belonging in something that's bigger than myself, and just being a part of this family. And I'm forever grateful for the Bradfordville First Baptist family. I'd always spent a good bit of my life just trying to find value, and whether it was trophies or accolades or just wanting to be the best, and now just finding my value in Jesus. I mean, it's just really been a blessing to just come alongside people and just help carry burdens and just be a light for others. It's just been awesome to be a part of and do. My name is Kyle McGill, and the best part about me is Jesus Christ.